All right. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Brian, and I'm here with the same two beauties as last week. I guess the week before. It's Evan and Ryan, and in this live stream, we will be rocking an APL fast mock draft. Here we go. Not sure what happened there, guys. Audience kind of skipped through, but we're here.
Really fast, just really fast, guys.
If you want, you can go watch the full video on every other YouTube video. See Austin Matthews score that same goal every time. We'll see it in the outro too.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
All right. Yeah. So, welcome in everybody. This week we are doing a mock draft that mirrors the APL, the Apples and Ginos Patron League. If you haven't heard of it yet, Nate made a whole YouTube video explaining how it's going to work this season, and I'm really excited for it. All three of us will be in this league. We don't know what the tiers are yet. That's up to Nate. But hopefully we're in some higher tiers, maybe. And so in this format, the APL settings are 5 points for a goal, 3.75 points for an assist, 0.5 for a power play point, 0.5 for a shot, 0.3 for a hit, 0.6 for a block. And then with the goalie categories, we have 2.75 points for a win, 3 extra for a shutout, 0.35 for a save, and negative 1.5 for a goal against. And we have 3 center spots, 3 left wing spots, 3 right wing spots, 4 D slots, 1 utility or skater spot, and 2 goalie spots. It's a 12-man league. And we are using Yahoo's dual eligibility positions. Nate was generous enough to go in and manually adjust the positions of all these players in Fantrax so we could run this on Fantrax and run all these mocks on Fantrax. Another interesting house rule is that after the first 2 rounds, the order will reverse in the 3rd round. So you'll have your normal snake in the first 2. If you had first pick, you're going to have 24th pick, but then you don't have 25th pick. It goes all the way to the other end of the draft, where the 12th spot has the first pick in the 2nd round and the 3rd round. From there, it resumes into a standard snake. So yeah, I'm really excited to get in here. I'll be drafting at the 4 spot. We got Brian at the 7 spot. And Evan at the 10 spot. How are you guys feeling about this?
I'm feeling good. One little thing I'm thinking to myself is don't draft the same team 4 or 5 times this time around. So, that's what I'm sticking in my head here. But I'm feeling good. How about you, Evan?
Good. 10 spot Dylan DeMello is popping into my mind. I don't know if anyone's going to take him that high, but you always got to consider it. Really excited to get back with you boys. It's exciting to be here.
Yeah, the trio has gotten back together after a week of missing out on Brian.
Yeah, my 1 week sabbatical is over, so I'm back here, boys. Happy to be here, fired up to get going here. I was thinking about this earlier today. I noticed in a lot of drafts, I don't know who I'm going to throw this question to, but I've seen Chychrun get taken like way before Karlsson. I'm curious, right off the top, to get your guys' thoughts on that. Is it valid or not?
I'm a big Chychrun guy. I had him last year in one of my leagues. That's a really good question. I think for me personally, I would not take Chychrun over Karlsson, only for the fact that he's been that guy. And until I see a season where he's not, like, they kind of switched it a few times, but he had more power play time, I think, consistently throughout the year than Chychrun did. But Chychrun has more value in fantasy, straight up. He shoots more. He has a better shot. He's going to score more goals than Karlsson. The question really kind of lies in the assists and what power play share he's going to get, because Washington's power play too is kind of not really that great. Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, I don't disagree there. I just think that Chychrun's ceiling is a lot higher. If he were to be that sole defender on the top power play, I know they ran both of them on the top power play at times. I do think Karlsson has that spot is pretty safe on the top power play. I don't think they'll take him off, but if they ever do, Chychrun's value will, I think, skyrocket.
Love those answers.
I think it's also one of those things with defensemen that we talk about too. When they kind of eat into each other's power play time, it almost drops both of their value. So I don't know. I kind of get scared away by that type of thing.
Yeah. No, I would second or third that. I just I've seen Carlson go like 3 rounds, 4 rounds, even sometimes after. But while Ryan's making his pick, it's a very tough pick first in the very first round. I'll just do a quick recap. Not too shocking here. We got McKinnon at the 1, McDavid at the 2, Draisaitl at the 3, and then Kucherov goes at the 4. Ryan, you must feel pretty good about Kuch at 4.
Yeah, so Dream Killer over here is really high on Draisaitl at 3, taking him over Kucherov. He wrote center left wing. So Draisaitl is the only one in this like top 6 here that is dual eligible, and that is a reason to bump him up. It just gives you a little more roster flexibility. And so I don't hate Draisaitl there. I also don't hate him leaving Kucherov here for me at the 4. I think Kucherov has one of the safest floors of like 120 points in the league. So not mad about that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. After you went with Kuch, we got Matthews at the 5, Makar at the 6, then I went with Kaprizov at the 7. Really, I was torn between Kaprizov and Pasternak, actually, while Evan, you're thinking of your picks that's coming up here. I love Kaprizov. I know there's that injury narrative about him. But he really hasn't been injured that much if you look at his history. So I feel good with that. The offense we know runs through, and I don't think Boston's going to be good. They might be better than last year, but I feel safer with Kaprizov.
Over Pasta, I guess.
Over
right?
Pasta.
That's you're not referring to, Morgan Geekie in the first round, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. We do have a question from the guy who sniped Draisaitl. He wants to know where I have Draisaitl and Kucherov ranked. They are neck and neck in my projections. I think there's a difference of like 2 actual fantasy points in my projections. But for Kucherov, that projection is closer to a middle median projection, where Draisaitl I'm projecting closer to a ceiling. I have him getting 121 points, 52 goals, and that's, I think, closer to his ceiling, where Kucherov is my safer pick, and I personally would go Kucherov 3rd over Dry, but actually in my projections, if you just follow those blindly, it might tell you to pick Draisaitl over Kucherov.
Yeah, I love that. I just think in terms of fantasy points, I'm always going to take Kucherov myself. But really quick recap, then I'll get to Evan here. I went Kaprizov, then Pasternak followed suit right after me. Eichel went at the 9. And then, Evan, you went with Jack Hughes, followed by Kachuk. Talk to us about Jack Hughes.
Jack Hughes is the man. I think he's going to come back and light it up. Nate had a recent video in Spotify of 6 players to reach 100 points, and Jack Hughes is on there, and I don't disagree with that at all. If he can stay healthy, I absolutely believe he can get there. And it's kind of interesting looking at kind of the Yahoo dual eligibility here. It kind of changes a lot of my evaluation for players when I'm drafting. With him being left wing, I have him like kind of right there with Kaprizov, for my money. So I really am happy about getting him in the 10 spot. And so I'm coming up on my pick. Ryan, rip me apart. Get back to digging me here for that pick.
Yeah, we briefly spoke about Hughes last week. And again, I'm fresh in my mind is a deep dive I did into all of his injuries, where I watched all the videos of him crashing into the boards. They're all him crashing into the boards. Pretty much every single Jack Hughes injury, he's crashing into the boards. And I'm looking at the play that leads to that, and it just seems like Jack Hughes is like nonchalant playing hockey in every one of these plays that leads to him crashing into the boards. Or just landing on his glass shoulders. So I don't know. I'm conflicted. I was, prior to the season, I was like, no, ignore injuries, put him on IR plus. They're not so predictable. But now I don't know. I'm a little scared of Jack Hughes's his nonchalant playing style that might lead to injuries.
Yeah, that's the thing, because he hasn't changed anything in the way he plays the game. You don't want to change too much, but after an injury, you see a lot of guys make subtle changes, the way they go into the board and stuff like that. And you haven't seen any sort of change from him. So that would lead me to think that there could be some risk with another injury, with the shoulder injury here.
If Jack, if you're listening, please be more careful out there. Okay, we don't want you running into the boards anymore.
Avid listener of the show, Jack Hughes is. And you know what? You might want to consider this, Ryan. What if this is the year, though, that he does learn? He does learn from his mistakes. Then we're talking
games.
about
games. Yeah.
110-point Jack Hughes. No, I think it's an interesting point to make with his injury history for sure. I am similar in a way to Nate, where I don't buy into the injury narrative as much. And in the 10 spot, it is kind of strange because I thought about taking, Werenski or Brady Tkachuk. But just on talent alone, I cannot leave him there just based on principle. But yeah, I definitely considered it. And Brian's coming up on his pick. We'll kind of recap here. So I go Jack Hughes at the 110, Brady Tkachuk at the 111, Zach Werenski at the 112. Your favorite player of all time, Ryan and Mikko Rantanen at the 2-1. Quinn Hughes at the 2-2. I go Willie Nylander, who's dual eligible for center right wing at the 2-3 in this format. And then we got Mitch Marner at the 2-4. Kyle Connor at the 2-5. Seems like a really good play. Kind of middle round Kyle Connor. Left wing is really good. Ryan, any thoughts on any of those picks?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, Hughes has that talent. His ceiling, out of all the players you named after your picks, his ceiling is the highest, and there's no doubt about that. I think I would prefer Brady Tkachuk. He's I just want my first round pick to be a first round player and be a top 15 player no matter what. And I think Brady Tkachuk is that. Hey, maybe Brady gets injured and then he's not. So there's always an injury risk for anyone. But yeah, I can't disagree there. And then Brian, I really like your left wing stack over there.
Yeah, I mean, I was torn between him and another player. I'll see if he comes back to me, but I just don't want to pass up on Forsberg here. Obviously, we talked him to death, so I don't have to go into too much detail. But yeah, I love Forsberg. I don't know if we did a quick recap, but just in case we didn't, stop me if we did. But after we went with Jack Hughes, went Brady Tkachuk, Werenski, Rantanen, Hughes, Nylander, Mitchie Marner, Kyle Connor, Forsberg, Reinhart, Panera Bread, that is, and then Ryan went with Bouchard. I like Bouchard. You're picking him over a certain other defenseman that's very interesting that I thought would go before.
Yes, I am. And this one's similar to a Jack Hughes, Brady Tkachuk debate where we have an Evan Bouchard versus a slightly lower ceiling, higher peripheral floor player. And I'm not going to say his name yet in case he falls a whole other round to me, which that would be great. But yeah, I'm taking the upside here for just a bunch of points playing alongside McDavid and Draisaitl. And I did, there he goes, Rasmus Dahlin, 2 picks later. That I think is the safer floor, bunch of peripherals, although his peripherals went down last year, and that worries me a bit. Maybe they'll come back up. But I think Bouchard just has the higher ceiling. I also needed to get in on one of these top 5D, especially here at the end of the second round where the third round reverses. So I don't have that normal snake. I got to wait a little bit longer in the third. So I just wanted to make sure I snag one of those D.
Yeah. I was hoping that you wouldn't be that smart and Bouchard would fall to me in the third. But it is interesting to me because Bouchard, I took him in the second round last year and I almost felt like it was a bit high in a way because he fell off obviously with his production. When you look at Edmonton as a team of what they did 2 years ago, everyone's point production was off the charts. Zach Hyman, Connor McDavid, all of them, right? And the question is, can they get back to that? I know Connor McDavid and Draisaitl will. Bouchard is a really talented offensive player. I think a lot of people focus on how bad he is defensively, and he's just kind of passing the puck to Draisaitl or McDavid and just letting them do something. He's got a missile from the point. He has an absolute missile, and I saw that one clip. I don't know if you guys saw last year. It was probably middle of the year. He toe dragged through 2 or 3 people and roofed it backhand, and everyone's watching it what? Who is this guy? That was pretty incredible stuff. So if he can get to doing that more often, get his goal totals up, I'm all about Bouchard over Dahlin.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that goal. I think that was against Ottawa. That was so nice. I wonder if McDavid had some words from on the bench after, be like, "Yo, that I do that, you don't do that. Stay in the back." Would it be kind of interesting? So, as Ryan mentioned, he went with Bouchard, Keller, and then Darlene went to Hedman, and then we did a reverse here, so it goes back to the other side, and Tage Thompson goes at the 3-1. Um, this might throw off a couple of us here, I think, as we're kind of going through the draft here. But does it change your strategy at all? I guess based on where you are drafting as you're kind of going through here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it made me reach for a D. Although, like, I think if Rich didn't take Panarin right before me, I would have had a very hard decision between Panarin and Bouchard, and I maybe would have reached on Bouchard because I know that I wouldn't have gotten one of those top 5, top 6 D at the 3rd round. Brian, you're kind of right in the middle, so nothing really changes for you, eh?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna counter with. It's like it doesn't really matter which way it goes. I'm right in the middle, so like I know, generally speaking, will be reaching for, have to reach for, or who might hopefully fall into my lap. So, yeah.
As Brian's coming up on his pick, I'll kind of recap a little bit too. I think we left off on Bouchard from Ryan at the 2-9 at the 2-10.
Brian brought us up to
covered it.
Tage.
All right, then I will go from Tage at the 3-1. Then it goes Jesper Bratt at the 3-2. I go Roman Josi at the 3-3. JT Miller at the 3-4. I considered taking JT Miller. Ryan, talk to me. I was kind of curious about a situation like that, getting a player like a JT Miller versus Roman Josi here in the 3rd round. I don't have a high-end defenseman, and that's who I go with. We've talked about the concern about Josi's health moving forward into the season. I just cannot get off of Roman Josi in any of these drafts.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to resist because he was that Zach Werenski 2 years ago, the guy who should be drafted at the early 2nd round or the end of the 1st, and now it's just a bunch of question marks. So in the 3rd round, I think if you don't have a defenseman there already, yeah, like why not go for that upside? And they say he's fine. The more I read into what Nashville says, the happier I would be drafting Josi. The more I read into the actual condition, the more scared I get.
I think for me personally, when I first saw that the info came out that he had POTS, it's interesting because I thought a lot of that had to do with the fact that he did have a concussion. So kind of paired with that, if he has a concussion, then he's feeling the effects of POTS where he's lightheaded, dizzy every time he stands up or moves or skates. The fact that Nashville comes out and says he's healthy, that's good. I think moving forward, Yossi's a professional. Like, I think he's going to figure it out. I think Nader Blake touched on it in one of their recent episodes that it's been well documented. A lot of professional athletes have played through this. And I think that Josi can get back to, at a minimum for me, I'm thinking floor Josi is like 60 points if he stays healthy. And with the upside of being close to a point per game defenseman. And I think Nashville's in a really good bounce back spot. And I don't know that a lot of people are buying in on that. I certainly am. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid from Nashville. But I got to get sucked into some of those spots. Recap and get to you, Brian, here. After JT Miller at the 3-4, we go Boldy at the 3-5, J-Rob at the 3-6. Another player I considered between him and Josi, and at the 3-6, I think that's a smash pick. Brian, talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I was torn between picking up someone that has that dual eligibility, which I love to see, especially in this kind of draft year, or reaching a little bit for a defenseman. I think I could be lucky here getting a defenseman back the other way. Like Ryan said earlier, I'm right in the middle. So this draft doesn't really change too much with my strategy here. So I'd be okay with that. But as I'm seeing more and more defensemen go, I might just completely fade on defensemen as we're going through here. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Comment here. D are going super early this year. Yeah, I think it's an apples and Ginos trend to value these elite defensemen early. That's what I'm doing here anywhere in the top 10, I think. In my list of defensemen, I'd be happy reaching for early, and then that's where afterwards I'll probably wait on the higher upside defenseman in the late rounds. What do you guys think? What's your strategy? I know Brian, you're 0D right now, but what do you think?
I mean, Yeah, I'm 0D now, I guess. But no, I like the idea of at least snagging at least an elite defenseman because I mean Nate and Blake they talk about all the time that a lot of teams are starting to transition to a 5 forward power play. So like those few defensemen that are for sure going to be locks on the power play become even more scarce. So their value kind of goes right through the roof on that. And then you got a guy like Uyghur. I saw you pick up Uyghur there. Like Uyghur probably will stay on power play 1, but could get taken over by Prek. But he has so much other value there in terms of fantasy. So like that's a steal there at the the 3-9 spot. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Evan, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm big on defensemen early in the draft because, as you pointed out, like getting a top power play defenseman that has even just a capability of like 50 to 60 points is so huge. There will be every year. There's always kind of like a defenseman that comes out of the woodwork or somebody gets hurt, and then you can pick one up on the waiver. But getting a top like 3 solidified defenseman, 2 to 3 in this format is really smart because you can fill in a lot of other guys on the wings and center later on. Mackenzie Weegar at the 3-9. I took him in I'm more of a Mackenzie Weegar, obviously in Bangers Cats you want him, but he's a very interesting player to me because his peripheral floor is so good. The Zane Prek thing does kind of interest me in terms of if he does lose power play time, not just like right off rep, because I don't think that's going to happen, but later in the season, like if they start to like fall off and they don't make the playoffs and they want to give him, a shot at PP1. Ryan, I know you're coming up here, but briefly, does that concern you at all with Mackenzie Weegar taking him in drafts?
Yeah, it does concern me a little bit. I think Perek has a lot of talent, and if he makes the team, he should supplant Uyghur eventually. But yeah, so I knocked down Uyghur's projections a bit on the power play, and I still have him getting like 47 points with, only like under 2.5 minutes of power play ice time on the year on average. So I'm still happy taking Uyghur here. His floor is so huge that I'm happy having him in that D slot always, just to put up those points from blocks, hits, and shots. And then if he gets one of those 47 points I haven't projected for in a game, that'll be cherry on top.
And then you go with Brandon Hagel. We'll kind of recap. I think we left off kind of at your pick at Uyghur at the 3-9, Jake Sanderson at the 3-10, Sidney Crosby at the 3-11, Josh Morrissey at the 3-12, Marty Nikas at the 4-1, Adam Fox at the 4-2, Maurice Sider at the 4-3. You go Brandon Hagel, the Bagel, at the 4-4. I think you've taken him in about 4 drafts that we've done so far. Talk to me about Brandon Hagel. It's interesting to me, his point ceiling, considering that what did he have, only like 11 power play points last year or something like that. Like it was nuts. Like if he gets on that power play and can contribute, are we looking at 100-point Brandon Hagel? Maybe that should have been in Nate and Blake's episode, 100-point player.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's doable. He had 11 power play points last year, but he had 79 even strength points. Sorry, no, he had 7 shorties, so never mind. That's wild. 7 shorthanded points is great. But yeah, he's this all-around two-way forward that is trusted with big minutes. I believe he was second or third on the team in forward even strike ice time. And I don't think they're going to keep trying the Nick Paul experiment on Power Play 1. I think Hagel's there now, and his dual eligibility on Yahoo just makes him ever more so valuable. And I did sometimes I do this in mock drafts and real drafts. I risk it a bit where I look at a guy's ADP, or I'm like, oh, can I get this guy in the next round? I wanted Brandon Hagel at the 3rd round. But I was like, oh, we're going to risk it. Let's hope he drops to the 4th. And I did take Uyghur, who I found out that Dream Killer was about to take in the 3rd round. And my risk paid off. I now have Uyghur and Hagel. Very happy about that. And then after I took Hagel, we had Seth Jarvis, who is tri-eligible on Yahoo, center, left wing, and right wing. And then we had the first goalie go in the 4th round, Connor Hellebuck. And then we had Travis Konechny go. Brian, you liking Travis this year?
Yeah, I like Travis for this instance to take him where I did. Number one, dual eligibility, which I think will be very valuable. And then 2, his exposure to Mishkov. I think he's obviously a great player. He gets a lot of ice time. I think that'll continue. And then exposure to Mishkov is really going to drive his value up. So might be a little bit of a reach, but I'm happy with picking him here just because of that dual eligibility. Any naysayers?
No, I took him in. I can't remember if it was. I definitely took him in a best ball, but I think Ryan and I talked. Maybe I took him in the Yahoo mock too. I think he's going to be along for the ride a little bit with Michkov. He's very heavily prioritized in Philly under John Tortorella, but I think Rick Tockett's going to understand his value as well. He's a guy similar to Brandon Hagel that played shorthanded as well and can get points from everywhere. So I really don't dislike that pick. Dual eligible Travis Konechny, book him for potentially point per games, 30 goals. I really like that.
Yeah. And then after Konechny, we had Sergachev go at the 4-8. And then Elias Pettersson goes at the 4-9. He's center left wing eligible. That is, he is definitely moving up in these mock drafts. I think I was able to get him in the 8th round of our first one, maybe the 7th. And I've seen him go in the 9th round, but people keep talking about a resurgence of Elias Pettersson. He goes at the 4-9 here. And then, Evan, you take Timmy Stützle.
Timmy Stutz. Love me some Timmy Stutz. And real quick, I'm going to get my pick in here. Tim Stützle for me, left wing eligible in this format at the 4-10 in the 4th round. Timmy Stutz signed me up for that. I think a lot of people, last year even expected Stützle to get back closer to like a 90-point range with kind of his ability to generate scoring chances and his individual talent, but it hasn't really come to fruition yet. I think point per game, Tim Stützle is kind of what I expect, but ceiling, I think I can expect higher if they can actually consistently get that top line together, him and Brady Tkachuk in power play as well. After Stützle, we go Lane Hudson at the 4-11, Barkov at the 4-12, Shea Theodore at the 5-1, Cole Caulfield at the 5-2. I go Wyatt Johnson at the 5-3. Kevin Fiala, your boy Ryan, at the 5-4, Thomas Harley at the 5-5. As Brian's coming up on he just made his pick of Celebrini. So I'm going to throw it to Brian because I know Ryan hates every single one of my picks, including all of the Dallas players. Brian, tell me how amazing Wyatt Johnson is in the 5th round.
Okay, let me read off this script you handed me before call. Wyatt Johnson is a stud. We talk about this all the time. The only risk with Dallas, what they've seen in the past, they roll 4 lines, but you can't deny the talent there. You could argue he's actually, I guess Mika Rantanen is there too, but no, Wyatt Johnson, you can't deny the talent. He's a stud, and he's so young still. So I don't even think we've seen the best of him. I still think he's got couple more years, before he even hit peaks here. So I can't hate it.
And as Ryan got his pick done with Timo Meier, you want to touch on how great Wyatt Johnson in the 5th round is, Ryan, and how much you love the Dallas Stars?
So I actually like Wyatt Johnson better than Wyatt Johnson in the 5th round. I like better than Rantanen in the, let's say, the beginning of the 2nd round, or Robertson at the end of the 2nd round, because I do think that Wyatt Johnston should get up there because he's just so talented. I think he might be their 2nd most talented offensive forward. He's also great defensively too. He's just a really great 21-year-old player and has a lot of room to grow. We'll see if that happens this year, but it's possible he's still just a 70-point player this year. I think he's definitely a 90-point player in the future. Maybe it's this year though. So a lot of upside there. I can't hate on it.
Absolutely. And then recapping, so I think we left off at Brian at the 5-6 with Celebrini, Seth Jones 5-7, Kempe at the 5-8, Timo Meier at the 5-9, Raquel at the 5-10, Ovi at the 5-11, and Lucas Raymond at the 5-12. Every time I see this, I'm going to keep saying it. When I see Alex Ovechkin, the greatest goal scorer of all time, going in the 5th round in our drafts, it brings a tear to my eye. But real quick, I wanted to talk to you, Brian, about Celebrini in the 5th round. How are you feeling about him this year? I really do. The more I look at centers and his ability and what he did in his rookie year, the more excited I am about taking him a little bit higher, even with center only.
Yeah, see, the key here is listen to what Nate and Blake say in their pods, because they did tell me that he could hit 100 points, and that's good enough for me. No, to be honest, I'm torn between Celebrini and Kempe, but I know Kempe on Yahoo is center and right wing, but I know he's not here, and I'm gonna have words with Nate about it. But I went with Celebrini just because, yeah, the talent is there. Obviously, San Jose, they do have a lot of young players are really talented. Much better situation than Chicago with Bedard, even though he's dual eligibility here. So yeah, I figured I'd take my first center. I don't want to reach for a defenseman. D have slipped by me, so I'm just going to live with it and make do.
I'm in a similar situation, and Ryan's coming up on his pick. I can see him like staring laser beam straight through his queue, trying not to get sniped by Dream Killer.
You're right. You're right. I've had a guy in my queue and he didn't snipe me, but great pick. Again, I was debating between Timo Meier and this also dual eligible left wing, right wing, Alex DeBrincat. So happy to get them both here. And yeah, like as you said, it's not the time to reach for D now. I think all of the elite D are gone. And when I'm looking at my rankings now, I don't have another D on the first page to draft. And that's just another reason why I, at least in these Apples and Ginos formats or with Apples and Ginos people, I'm reaching for D at the top because I know how much we all value those elite D. And then here in this range, I don't like any of those D left right now.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I missed the boat. And then just real quickly recap. I don't know. Actually, Evan, do you know where we left off? I'll let you do the recap.
I believe we left off on Lucas Raymond at the 5'12". So we get Nick Suzuki at the 6'1", Alex Tuck at the 6'2", breaks my heart. Great pick. Pavel Dorofeev at the 6'3", and then Ryan went with Alex DeBrincat at the 6'4". Bedard at the 6'5" is really good because he is right wing eligible in this format. And Nick Ehlers at the 6'6", and Brian's coming up on his pick. Still a Timo believer, Ryan. I want to be. I really do. I think that if they just give him that opportunity on the power play, which he should be on, then he can get much closer to his point per game pace that he had in San Jose, especially with his peripheral floor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hoping for a point per game pace anymore. I don't think that'll come on New Jersey. He only had he had less than 2 minutes of power play ice time per game last season for like a 45% power play share. I think that needs to go up. I think Keefe, someone needs to knock some sense into him and put Timo Meier on the top power play. I think it'll happen. I'm projecting it to happen a little more than last season. And so I got a ceiling projection for Meier. Not a full ceiling projection, but pretty much an 8 out of 10. Him getting 33 goals, 32 assists for 64 points with 24 points on the power play to go along with lots of shots and lots of hits. So really like Timo Meier here in the 5th round. If he doesn't get there and he still settles into that 60-point pace, I'm fine with that in the 5th round as well.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And I'm noticing that you're kind of rocking a trend here outside of Kucherov, which is a really good spot to be. You take Kucherov with your first round pick, and then the rest of your guys have these amazing peripheral floor with shots from DeBrincat, the shots hits from Meier, Brandon Hagel shoots too. Kucherov's going to get you 140 points. So, you got points covered,
Yeah, I mean, every stat provides a fantasy point a bit here, and that just ups the floor of these guys like Uyghur and Meier and DeBrincat for shots. So yeah, I like that there. After Ehlers went in the 6'6", Brian went with 6'7". I'll give you a chance to tell us. Wait, yeah. Did I say you went with Kirill Marchenko in the 6'7"?
You did not. We're leaving everyone up to think about it. What would you take? So I went with Marchenko. I went with Marchenko just because I believe in Columbus's talent there with Werenski on the back end. Their power play is going to be solid. And I'm pretty set on the left wings. I'm not going to reach for a defenseman, and I don't really want to go for centers just yet because we know we can fade them. So that's kind of why I decided to go with the right winger, and he's at the top of my list there.
Yeah, and Nate, first off, we got a question from Nate Dog. I don't think this is the Apples and Ginos Nate, but it might be. No. You guys doing a Yahoo mock after this one? We are not doing a Yahoo mock after this one. This one will take quite a long time. We got a full minute on the pick clock here. Last week, me and Evan went through 2 Yahoo drafts, and we were able to because there's like a 30-second timer, and then half the Yahoo people drop out after the first half of the draft, so they're auto picking. So we had time for 2 there, but this one we're just doing 1. And he's also asking, is 0D a bad decision in APL settings? I don't think it's necessarily a bad decision. It's all, for me, it's all like who you're drafting and what value you're getting. And if you're reaching for D too much, then I think that could be a bad decision. Or if you're fading D too much, that could be a bad decision too. I think it all depends on who you're drafting and the value you're getting.
Absolutely. So we'll recap a bit here too. I believe we left off on Marchenko with Brian's pick at the 6'7". So we got Mark Scheifele at the 6'8", Dylan Guenther at the 6'9". I go with Matvey Michkov at the 6'10". Really happy about that pick. He was also highlighted in Nate's episode of Player to Get 100 Points. I don't think he's going to get 100 points by any means, but point per game, Michkov could very well happen. This guy is so talented. We saw it at the end of last year when Tortorella finally decided to play him consistently, and I want to be in on that in the 6th round. Then we got Tavares at the 6'11", Kyrou at the 6'12", Matthew Tkachuk at the 7'11", Batherson at the 7'2". Had to go with my boy Robert Thomas at the 7'3". I feel like this is a good spot to take him because although Fantrax is projecting him for upwards of 90-plus points, I don't know that he gets quite there, but he is going to be a point-per-game center, I believe. And if he only shoots a little bit more, I think his value even goes up from there. We got Charlie McAvoy at the 7'4", Chychrun at the 7'5", Hyman at the 7'6" from Brian. Brian, I'll kind of let you take over here about Zach Hyman at the 7'6", dual eligible in this format.
Yeah, I think dual eligible. Anytime you get someone with dual eligibility, I think their value goes up a little bit, to be honest. But no, I'm looking at Zach Hyman just because we know that Edmonton dealt with a lot of injuries last year. We talked a little bit about that with Bouchard. I think he's going to be stapled next to McDavid. I think he's going to have a bounce back year here. So I'm okay with taking him this late in the draft, especially when he's dual eligibility there.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to do this, guys. I took a goalie here. I love 0G. I love the strategy, but here in the 7th round, at the end of the 7th round, we have Andrei Vasilevsky, who is pretty much locked in as the second goalie off the board in most drafts, and I'll take him 3 rounds later than Hellebuck. So I won't do that there. I won't hate on goalies too much here, but Rich was hoping no one sniped him. He got Sebastian Aho at 7'8". That's who was in my queue. And once Sebastian Aho got taken right before me, I was forced into taking this valuable goalie at the 7'9". What do you guys think? Rip me apart.
The 0G here. No, I think you've talked a lot about the difference between like Hellebuck and Vasilevsky and their value, and everyone's eyes are always on Hellebuck because obviously what he did last year. So if you can get Vasilevsky, doesn't really matter so much where it is, but if you're getting 3 rounds later, I'm okay with that. Me personally, 0G, but that's what I think.
Yeah, for me, it's honestly like I'm 0G until I don't like anyone next up in my rankings, and then I'm like, okay, what goalies are here? And if it's Vasilevsky, I'll take it.
Yeah. No, I'm much more on your side on that, Ryan. With Vasilevsky in the 7th round, in any other draft, he's gone. Like he's not there. So it's only because this is an Apples and Ginos APL mock draft that he is still sitting there in the 7th round for you. So I don't dislike it. It just sucks that we're gonna have to cut your mic after this, but that's it just has to happen.
Yeah, thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
As Ryan's mouthing his words. So I have an interesting one. actually, I'll let Ryan get to his pick first, and then I'm going to ask him. But we'll recap a little bit before Ryan gets to his pick. So he took Vasilevsky at the 7-9. We got Tom Wilson in the 7-10, Dylan Holloway at the 7-11, Matthew Nyes at the 7-12, Nichushkin at the 8-1, Stamkos at the 8-2, Mackenzie Blackwood at the 8-3. And as Ryan is coming up on his pick, I would like to formally congratulate him on starting the goalie run in our Apples and Ginos mock draft, 0G hashtag. No, I love Mackenzie Blackwood too. He goes with Dylan Larkin. I'll let you talk about Dylan Larkin as Brian's coming up on his pick too, Ryan, but I briefly wanted to get your thoughts on this because somebody asked a lot earlier, but I didn't want to talk about him because he was still on the board. Red Rogue, thoughts on Aho? I want you to kind of break down, because I took Robert Thomas over Aho, although I did consider him. What are your thoughts on Sebastian Aho in general, and then versus Rob Tom?
Yeah. Oh, that's the wrong Aho. I was pulling up my Sebastian Aho, and there's still a D named Sebastian Aho. I think Sebastian Aho, especially here, he's being faded because he's center only, and if he had any wing eligibility, you'd be looking at him, I think, in the 5th round, because his floor is so safe to provide at least 70 points, or at least like a 75-point pace. He has like a tiny bit of injury history, but he just misses a couple games a year, so it's not anything big. And yeah, I think the ceiling for Aho is definitely lower than a lot of other players because of Rob Brindamore, who is a great real life coach, but he limits the fantasy upside of his top stars, which we don't like, but it turns into Carolina being like just dominating in Corsi 4 and expected goals. So good on him. But yeah, so Aho for me, high floor pick, lower ceiling pick. Rob Thomas is the other side of the coin for me, where he has the higher ceiling, where he could get to 90 points, but his floor is lower because of the lack of peripherals. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't touch anyone on the ice or to turn into hits. And yeah, that just makes Rob Thomas, if he gets 70 points, his value is much, much lower.
Yeah, see, Ryan, I had Robert Thomas in my queue, but I have your voice echoing in my head, just talking about his nuked value this year with St. Louis and their goals for. So I kind of stayed away from him. So I appreciate the insights, because I guess now I do agree. Robert Thomas is scared of hitting, I think, but such a talented player. But when it comes to fantasy, if the offense isn't going, he doesn't really have much value.
See, we can't do this, Brian. We can't let Ryan dig himself into our brain during our picks. I'm certainly trying to avoid it because, I think it's weird with Robert Thomas. I think he is like a phenomenal player in his own right individually. He is facilitating everything in St. Louis. And really, like, you're talking about the offense not coming in the second half of the year. Robert Thomas was getting multi-point games every day. Like, it was, he looks at the puck and it's an assist. So I'm fine with, that take that Robert Thomas is allergic to hitting. But I think, do you guys know where we left off here? We haven't recapped in a minute. I think after your Larkin pick, maybe even Ryan.
Yeah, I'll do the recap so you can think about your next pick here. After Larkin, which I was almost gonna play the villain and take Vasilevsky and Shesterkin there, but I was like, no, I can't take a second goalie, so I took Dylan Larkin, and then Igor Shesterkin goes right after in the 8-5 spot, and then we have Nico Hischier go 8-6, Dougie Hamilton 8-7, Svechnikov goes 8-8. Eric Carlson, 8-9. Tomas Hertl goes 8-10. Matt Barzal goes 8-11. Then we had Jake Ottinger go 8-12. So 3 goalies in the 8th round. And then Noah Dobson, 9-1. Kadri goes 9-2. And Evans up. So, Brian, you went with Dougie Hamilton, your first D off the board. Yep. Right before Evan goes Luke Hughes. So what are your thoughts? You took Dougie Hamilton first.
Yeah, interesting. I think Evan just became public enemy number 1 for that, hedging against my Hamilton pick. No, I just think Dougie Hamilton has a lot of value when he's on a power play, shoots a lot. The offense is working. Until I see Luke Hughes formally take it over, I'm going to give the power play to Dougie Hamilton.
And I'll hop in
you have the opposite opinion, I assume.
I do. Dougie Hamilton to me with what Sheldon Keefe did to him last year was criminal, playing him 18 minutes a night and then only featuring him on the power play because you got to be on the ice to score. And I don't really feel like Dougie Hamilton is that much of a liability defensively. So it was interesting to me how they did cut his minutes. But more for me, it's just being in on the Luke Hughes breakout because we know it's just a matter of if or when, not if. So I want to be in on it on the 9th round. I don't hate the Dougie Hamilton pick. I think he still shoots the puck. He's going to get good fantasy value. But Luke Hughes has that potential to get his ceiling points even without his peripherals. So that's kind of why I went with him there. I'll recap after Luke Hughes. Gabriel Landeskog goes at the 9-4, then Sorokin at the 9-5, Trocheck at the 9-6 for Brian, which I really like in the 9th round. 9-7, Miro Heiskanen, 9-8, John Carlson. It's a running joke. I didn't even see it until I looked at it. And now we got Ryan at the 9-9 taking the Eggman, the one, the only Darnell Nurse.
Yes, give me that bald head. I couldn't resist. I was gonna play a game here and see how late if he can drop to the 10th or 11th, but I just can't stop looking at that shiny bald head. So I want him on my team. If only he had a see-through helmet for us, but he doesn't. Yeah. Another high floor defenseman, similar to Uyghur, where I do see a little bit of a rebound for Nurse, but he's not on that top power play. He'll not get back there. But I see more goals for him this year, and he just provides a lot of block shots and hits. So happy to have that floor as my third defenseman to lock in some nice D.
Yeah, and he's not going to disappoint you with a nickname like the Eggman, so you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, I bet. I actually heard a rumor that before every game, he eats one shiny, I can't do it. He eats one shiny hard-boiled egg right before every game.
I knew where you were going with this, and it just made it even funnier. Oh my goodness. Darnell Nurse, the Eggman with all the money to buy all of his eggs too. Then we got Brandon Montour after that, the 9-10. I'm actually surprised you didn't take I feel like you like Montour a lot too, Ryan. Lacombe at the 9-11, Gustafson at the 9-12, Demidov at the 10-1, McCann at the 10-2, Zibanejad at the 10-3. As Ryan's coming up on his pick, Brian, real quick, Mika Zibanejad, right wing eligible in this format, I think is really good in the 10th round. I really don't see him getting much less than, let's say, 60 points. I think floor for him, and I think ceiling could be closer to a point per game or somewhere in the middle, maybe 70 points. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, the Rangers were a train wreck last year. If you take that year out, Zibanejad's been pretty consistent, pretty good there. He's locked on the top power play. I think he's due for a big bounce back, even though he's getting up there. Obviously, he's past his prime, but I still think there's a lot of value there. So I like it. And like I said before, dual eligibility is going to come in is so clutch. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah. And yeah, with Montour, I think him and Dunn limit each other's upsides a bit. So I don't love each of them, but if they fall a little bit later in the draft, that's where I'm looking at them. And then, you said Demidov, McCann. I was really hoping McCann fell for me. I had a queue in front of Nurse. I had a queue of McCann, Gustafson, and then I had Nurse, and then I had Wolf. But Gustafson and McCann go. And then after Zibanejad goes, I go with Dustin Wolf. I think this guy's going to get a crazy amount of starts this year on Calgary due to the lack of experience of the backup goaltenders there in Ivan Prosvetov, who had a good year, I believe, in the KHL last year, but he just hasn't proven to be a legit NHL backup goaltender. So in this setting where goalies, even when they play poorly, they're probably still going to get you positive points. I just want to get as many starts as possible, and that's what I'm doing here with Vasilevsky and Dustin Wolf, where if it was more of a categories league or a points league that punishes bad starts, I would be a little more scared to take Dustin Wolf because he was a little bit inconsistent last year.
Oh,
And then we
Brian.
had Tyler Toffoli go, and then Rupe Hintz, and then Brian with the absolute snipe, who I actually almost took, but good on you there. Joel Eriksson Ek, which Evan is very unhappy about. What are your
My
thoughts on Eriksson Ek, Brian?
Yes, sorry, Evan. Yeah, I like the Jeek stack with Kaprizov there, but yeah, Eriksson Ek covers a lot of categories, a lock on the top power play. As long as that team stays healthy, he's got a lot of upside there. So I actually was torn between him and Morgan Riley. I was hoping I can wait another round or two for Morgan Riley because I know it's thin on defense, but I'm happy with Jeek there.
Evan, you really like Jeek, eh? You're
No,
still
you know what? I'm gonna do this. So I was debating between two because I feel like the pressure now to take a decent number one goalie. I probably could have waited, but Aiden Hill, really good. I think I thought about he was a decent 0G option too because I feel like he gets faded a lot. And Vegas is a really good team, just an absolute wagon of a team. So even if Aiden Hill isn't on his best game, which he is a good goalie, I think he's still going to get really good upside for wins and saves there, especially with the addition of Mitch Marner. As long as he doesn't throw those pizza sauces through the middle of the zone. But yeah, no, Jeek at the 10-7, man, what a guy. I think people forget when him and Cap were going off for like 4 or 5 point games 2 years ago. So yeah, I really like that pick in the 10th round, Brian. Very jealous of it because he was right in my queue.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
There you go. We might have a new rivalry brewing here, everyone.
Yeah, right? Yeah, hedging against my Dougie Hamilton pick, so I'm just not going to forget that. Let me tell you that much.
Yeah, just snipes me right back. Can't do anything about it.
There you go. Yeah, to go off brand, I'm going to praise Evan's pick here. I really like Aiden Hill. I think he's going to get a career high in starts because they have Akira Schmid as their backup, who is pretty young. He has some potential. Maybe Akira Schmid is pretty lights out, and Hill is limited to his around 50 starts that he has had the last few seasons. But my money is on Schmid being more of like a true backup and Hill turning into a true starter. So I really like that volume play there in the 10th round, where we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the 9th goalie off the board. So almost everyone has a goalie by now. We're in the 11th round.
Not me.
He's staying on brand.
That's
0G till around 20.
I think you've kind of touched on it, Ryan, and I feel like it's a good spot to do so is when you're in the draft. I feel like sometimes you get pressured based on who everybody's taking. Like if there's a defenseman rung, you feel pressured to take a defenseman. And it's really about trying to avoid that mindset and drafting who's best for your team and who's available at that point. There were a few spots where I took Connor Hellebuck, like in some of our best balls, because he was falling to like the 5th round or late 4th. And I feel like him there is a great value if some of the other really good guys are gone. So I kind of looked at stuff here. I do need some more defensemen, but the ones that are left are really not catching my eye. So I go back to back and go Aiden Hill, Darcy Kemper. LA, good defensive structured environment. And you had kind of touched on a lot of his goalie stats and I think consistency last time we spoke with your models. So I didn't forget that. And so now we're coming up on your pick, Ryan. So I'll recap after I took Aiden Hill. We got Brian Russ 10-11, Logan Cooley 10-12, Paterka at 11-1, Slavkovsky at the 11-2, Kemper at the 11-3, Olmark at the 11-4, Bo Horvat at the 11-5, Sergei Bobrovsky at the 11-6 for Brian. Troy Terry at the 11-7, Shane Gostisbehere at the 11-8, and you go with your boy, again, consistent favorite, 11-9, Ryan. Brian, I'll throw it to you for your first goalie in Sergei Bobrovsky.
Yeah, listen, I folded, guys. I needed a goalie, so I was happy no one took him.
You held strong. You were the last one to take, a goalie here.
There we go. I hope Nate and Blake are proud of me here. I went with Bob just because I still think he's going to get the lion's share of starts there. Obviously, a solid team. They've won the Cup back-to-back years. I think he's in a good environment. Their defense bolstered with Seth Jones there. So I think, he's going to be a lock there for some good value in the, 11th round.
You're not worried he's going to be taken off the case?
Yeah, he might get taken off the case. You're off the case, Bobrovsky. Maybe a couple games a year, but everyone has a couple of those.
Shout out to Jay Onright and Dan O'Toole back in 2010 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Jay's still running that same clip though, even today, because I think he just has the show himself, right? We love it. We love it.
Yeah.
Brian, you are not the last person to take a goalie. There are still two teams. Super T30 does not have a goalie, and this is my username, does not have a goalie. So they are, sucking up to the
Holding to the 0G,
Yeah.
clinging.
0G plan there.
And I do love that, but the value is there for some of these goaltenders now in the 10th, 11th round. Adam Fantilli, Ryan, if only he would get that top center spot. Yeah. I think if we had an assurance that Boone Jenner was going to get injured 10 games into the season, I would draft Fantilli like in the 6th round.
All right. Well, I'm here to tell you, Boone Jenner, he's not going to play more than 70 games this year. Book it.
70. We need 20. We need 20.
Yeah. No, I do think Fantilli had that opportunity last year because of all the injuries. Monahan was out. Jenner was out. But he showed he could be that guy. And I have him continuing to be that guy and getting some decent power play time on the top power play. Probably not to start the season, but I think for sure to finish the season. He had a very high shooting percentage last year. I have that coming down, but I do have his shots going up a bit. I got him getting 221 shots, 121 hits also. So love that. And 32 goals, 34 assists. So give me Adam Fantilli in the 11th round. I think even if he ends up with 55 points here, that's still good value for me. And I was really hoping Ryan Nugent-Hopkins would fall to me, but this is my username. Did not take a goalie. He's staying true, and he's racking up those dual eligible players from me. So I got to scramble here.
Really good pick. And as you're scrambling, we got Rasmus Anderson at the 11-10 after your 11-9 Fantilli pick, Dylan Strome at the 11-11, Jake Wollman at the 11-12, William Eklund at the 12-1, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins at the 12-12, Lucas Dostal at the 12-3. Really love Ryan Nugent-Hopkins there in the 12th round, left wing eligible in this format.
You son of a gun.
Ryan, I think Snipe does both because I was definitely considering it. He goes with Vince Dunn. Vince Dunn's in the 12-4. Again, this is somebody, I think every time we do this, we all have certain players that we really like. And I've actually tried to mindfully avoid some of mine that I go with all the time, like the Alex Tuck. I love Darlene. But Ryan is staying true to his projections and taking the smart picks every draft, and going with Vince Dunn in the 12th round is not bad.
Yeah, if you're watching this and if you're up against me in the APL, you're in the same league, just watch this draft and you'll see who's in my queue, to be honest. I'm not fooling anyone here.
And Brian's coming up on his pick. So after that, we got at the 12-5, Quentin Byfield, which I think is really good, and Boone Jenner. Both of those picks in the 12th round as left-wing eligible players. Really good stuff. Brian goes with Kiefer the Beaver Sherwood at the 12-7. Still really good pick. He's going to go for the 1,000 hits in a season. Can it be done?
Absolutely. I actually had my eyes on the Booner there, Boone Jenner, but I thought he was picked before, so I didn't even have him in my queue. But I like Sherwood because, he's going to get 1,000 hits this year for sure. Book it. Unlikely, but got solid peripherals in the hits. I think he's got some value on Vancouver because I think they're hurting for offense and they're going to keep using him.
Yeah, to be honest, Brian, I don't love the pick here. He had an amazing season last year.
Yeah, he did.
Let's say that he, got shot out of a cannon into people, straight into them. 462 times, which is crazy, which is a record season record of 462 hits. He got 19 goals as well, which is his career high, and 21 assists and 40 points, which is career high, and a career high in 141 shots. Career highs off the board. Amazing. Great job, Kiefer Sherwood. But we've never seen such a high shooting percentage from him. I think I see his shots staying similar, but I don't think he's going to have as many goals. And I don't think the on-ice shooting percentage will be there from his teammates. I think he is stuck on this third line. They're going to be happy having him in the middle six on that third line. So I got him, regressing a little bit in the point section. I also, I don't know how to predict his hits. I don't know. Is it going up from here? Is it coming down back to reality? I really don't know. So what do you actually think his hits are going to be like? Similar to last year, down, up?
Yeah, I think his hits are going to be a little down because it's hard to have career years in every single category and repeat that the following year. I don't think it's going to be down too much. Like 462 this past year, and the year before it is 234. Like what is that? 200 hits less. Like I still think he can hit 400. And if there are injuries, he's going to be moved up the lineup. So I personally don't hate it at the 12 mark, 12-7. We love the hits, so I'll take those. But yeah, I think you kind of are spot on though with the rest of it. There will be some regression because you can't have back-to-back career years. Like that's so unlikely unless you're, I guess, Connor Hellebuck with back-to-back seasons of being elite. But yeah, I'm kind of on board, but I'll take it where it is. Quick recap.
I do have him. I do have him projected for another career high in shots on goal, though. I got him projected for 153, which I'm liking because he did turn it on in the second half last season. I do like that as a trend toward the coming season.
Okay. I like that.
All right.
I'm up here, so
Brian's here.
You're on the clock. So I'll do a little bit of a recap after I hated on your Kiefer Sherwood pick. We have Matt Duchesne at the 12-8, Drew Doughty 12-9, and then I can never say his name right, Evan. Zeev Buim. I just say Buim at the 12-10. Jacob Markstrom goes after that. UC Saros after that, and then Mark Stone at the 13-1. And then Jordan Binnington at the 13-2. So that is Super T30 grabbing two goalies now, where there's only one team left with no goalies. And then Evan goes back-to-back D, Tony DeAngelo. So talk to us about your 2D here.
Yeah, I kind of got stuck in a spot where I didn't get the defenseman that I wanted early on, so I faded them. Going with after Luke Hughes, I kind of go two young guys here with Zeev Boyum. I think it's really his power play to lose at this point. I think he will start the season there, and I think that 30 to 40 points is pretty much in the realm of what we can expect. I think there is a possibility that he gets more if he really clicks and stays on that top power play in the NHL for the remainder of the season. So I really do like him as a late round kind of third, fourth defenseman pick. Tony DeAngelo, I kind of went with someone more stable. I really think he'll be the top power play guy there. And with Matt Barzal being back, I think they can get a little bit more efficiency and production on the power play. So him as my fourth defenseman, I do not hate it. Then after that, we got Pavel Buchnevich at the 13-4, who's tri-eligible as well. Really good pick by Tommy too. Sam Montembeault at the 13-5. Colton Parayko, you go with Brian at the 13-6. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, interesting. I wanted to pick a D because I only have one defenseman. I know there's a couple of guys that are still available. They run power plays, or at least they're on power play time. But Parayko, I think he had a great year last year. I've seen some progression in his game, and he just covers a lot of the other, we'll call them categories. Other peripherals he covers. So I think that brings his value up, and I'm okay with picking that up for me because I got centers, left wing, right wings covered, and I'm severely lacking in defense. So I'm happy with it.
Absolutely. And I think Ryan's kind of looking at his queue here so we can continue to recap. After Colton Parayko at the 13-6 you went, we got Anthony Stolars at the 13-7. Patrick Kane at the 13-8 is a really good pick. Ryan goes with Jonathan Marchessault at the 13-9. We got Donato, tri-eligible as well at the 13-10 from Dreamkiller. Will Cooley, dual eligible, 13-11, and then Dylan Cousins at the 13-12. Nikishin at the 14-1, another rookie defenseman for Carolina. Owen Tippett at the 14-2. Evander Kane at the 14-3 is a really good spot. Nice job by Dreamkiller, and Ryan is up. Any of those picks stand out to you, Brian?
Well, I mean, again, the dual eligibility I like. So Owen Tippett, the 14-2. You got Will Cooley, the 13-11. To be honest, the guy that I had my eye on actually was Ryan Donato. Try eligibility is insane. So I think he's actually due to have a very similar year than he did last year, which was it came out of nowhere. But I think he's going to have a similar year, especially with Bedard there. So I really, really like that Donato pick. What about you?
Yeah, no, I really do like the Donato pick. I think a lot of these players like Owen Tippett, Donato, Vander Kane, even in the 14th round is really good. Ryan goes with Sam Bennett. Ryan, talk to us about both Marchessault and Sam Bennett with your last two picks.
Yeah, so I got Nashville improving a little bit. I don't think they'll be as bad as they were last year. And Marchessault, I have his shots increasing a bit and his points increasing a bit. I'm not getting too excited about players outside of Forsberg and Yossi, but Marchessault, I got him for 62 points, and that is a bounce back for him. And then, I was debating between a few guys, and I think I was looking at a high upside player. I was looking at another high floor player. And then Sam Bennett was staring me in the face, telling me, ignore injury history, Ryan. It doesn't matter if he only plays 70 games or 74 games, because I can just slide him into the IR plus. And at this point, I think it's good to ignore any injury narratives for sure, because in the 14th round, if Sam Bennett gets on the IR plus, you slide him into the IR and you grab someone off waivers who's probably going to be almost as good as Sam Bennett. So if his pace is 55, 60 points, I can also get that pace off of waivers if he's injured. And he just provides such a good floor with shots and hits that I can't pass on him here. And then Chris Kreider goes right after at the 14-5. Brant Clark, his first name is Brant, right?
Yeah.
Brant
Yes.
Clark? Yeah. I was going to say Blake because Blake Creamer is just in my head here. He goes at the 14-6. Yeah. And then Brian, you go with Thomas Chabot at the 14-7. So now are you panicking for D yet? What are we doing?
A little bit. I still need one more defense at least here, but no, I think Shabbat's a pretty solid defenseman. He's obviously not going to be the power play one, but he'll make up some fantasy points in other categories. So I liked that over a couple of the other options here, like Grant Clark. I still think it's Doughty's power play for the time being, and it's more just like the point I made earlier. It's like until you actually take it over, I'm not going to jump in on it. I don't want to overreach here with the defenseman. So I guess I'm going to have to settle with Chabot. Do you hate that one too?
I don't hate it. I'm just, to be honest, I'm very happy that I don't know if I reached, but I took some D early and I have 4 now, and that's all that I'm going to take. And I'm happy since all of the power play 1D are pretty much gone, and they have been for a few rounds. I'm happy I didn't have to, look at these defenders now, which I pity you a little bit, but you had some stacked left wing and right wing guys at the top, so that's what happens.
It'll even out. We'll see. But hey, I like this. Preko was my next pick until Brian made me take Donato. I'm okay with that then, which is okay if you matched last year. I agree. Okay, I'm on the clock here.
Okay, all right. I'll read. Yeah, Evan, go for it.
Okay, yeah. So where do we leave off, Ryan? Do you know that we left off on Chabot? So
Chabot.
I'm kind of in agreement with you, Ryan. I hate to pick on you, Brian, but yeah, Thomas Chabot, he's just the glass house. He's the definition. I remember having him 2 years ago, and like he came back from a long injury, and I was excited because he is a really good offensive defenseman. The problem is they have Jake Sanderson there now, and he's more reliably healthy and consistent, and probably better defensively, or for sure better defensively. But I digress. We got Brock Besser at the 14-8, Zuccarello at the 14-9. I go with try-eligible Morgan Geekie at the 14-10, Pierre-Luc Dubois at the 14-11, Marchand at the 14-12, Cutter Gauthier at the 15, Jacob Trouba 15-2. I go Monahan at the 15-3, Will Smith at the 15-4, Lafreniere at the 15-5, Kent Johnson at the 15-6 from you, Brian, and then McTavish. I really do like the tri-eligible Kent Johnson you took following that, the 15-6. Brian, talk to us about that.
Yeah, first of all, I hate your picks. No, I'm joking. I just Kent Johnson. Like I got Marchenko on that power play one. I can stack him with Kent Johnson, but trial eligibility, I can't really pass that up. In the 15th round, young kid, I still think he's going to have a lot of upside here. So that's really what really kind of swayed decisions. That trial eligibility, it's so useful. So that's kind of what I went with that. After I went with Kent Johnson, we got McTavish and Lehkonen. I guess, Evan, you get to Geeky and Monahan. I like to see some Columbus in there. What are your thoughts on those two?
So I go with Morgan Geeky, who in the 14th round, tri-eligible. The guy was pacing for like 70 points in the second half of the year once he was stapled to Pastrnak, top line, top power play. So I really like that, as he might be arguably one of the best bench players that you can get for your team in this type of format, being tri-eligible, first line, first power play. Sean Monahan kind of goes late in a lot of drafts as a center only, but I believe he's going to keep his top line, top power play role as well. And I'm looking at like a floor 60-point Monahan, a ceiling closer to like 70, 75 points if Columbus still does really well this year. So I don't hate that as my third center option. And then Ryan is coming up on his picks, but I want him to have a little bit of a chance to dig into some of my picks. It's been a little too tame for me, so I want you to tell me how bad Morgan Geeky is in the 14th round, Ryan.
I can't do it. I literally yesterday, some betting markets opened up, and I'm big on betting on hockey. So Morgan Geeky, I really like his lines. He had an over-under line of 20.5 on his goals, and I had to take some of that over. I don't love taking overs too much because you could get burned on injuries, and I love finding those unders that I like. But when I have a projection that's, there's like a 6-goal difference there, I'll take the over. And I actually did take his 50-plus point prop as well for plus 150. I like Morgan Geeky there in the 14th round. He's, I think, stapled to that top line, top power play now. Top power play, it might come and go, but I do like him to stay with David Pastrnak.
Absolutely. And you go with, we'll recap quick too. You go with Frank Vatrano at the 15-9. We got Granlund at the 15-10, Perek at the 15-11, Logan Thompson 15-12, Nick Schmaltz at the 16-1, Perfetti at the 16-2, Brock Nelson 16-3, and you go with Matt Coronado at the 16-4. Talk to us about Vatrano and Coronado with your follow-up picks in the 15th and 16th round.
Yeah, Vatrano, Coronado, like, they roll off the tongue, but Frank Vatrano, he's quite the boring pick, and in standard leagues with like 16 total rounds, I'm probably not drafting Frank Vatrano at all because I'd rather, have that as like a streamer spot with more upside, and Frank Vatrano is just not that player anymore. I think I've talked about him quite a bit. He provides a lot of off nights on Anaheim, provides a lot of shots and hits and blocks. That provides a nice little floor. So I got nothing too exciting going on for Frank Vatrano, but in a deeper league like this, we got 20 rounds. I think he'll stay on my team all season, picking up, 45 total points, but plenty of fantasy points on those off nights. And then I have Matt Coronado, who I really love his upside. I think I was a little early on Coronado. I really was hoping he would break out 2 seasons ago and drafted him quite a bit there, only to drop him in the first week when he didn't make the team. And then last year I didn't draft him at all, and that's when he broke out. So this year I'm back on him a little bit. I think he should get top power play time, no doubt, and plenty of minutes. I just hope that they move him up the lineup and off of that line of Backlund and Coleman, and I think his upside is huge.
Absolutely. And I'm coming up on my pick, so I'm going to throw it to Brian to talk about something.
Yeah, I can talk. How was your day? No, I'm joking. Real quickly. Okay, got sniped. It's all good. Did we do a recap from Coronado when Ekblad, Lee went with Taze because he stapled to Makar, Huberto, Romanov, Evan, public enemy number 1, 2, and 3 today, and then Jake DeBrusque goes at the 16-11. Evan, before your pick comes up, talk to me about why you love Demko.
Demko in the 16th round. Don't hate it. He's going to get back to his Vezina winning ways. He's going to stay healthy, and he's going to have like a 70-30 share with Lankinen. No, none of those three things are going to happen. But that's what you hope for when you get Thatcher Demko in the 16th round. So I can't hate on that. I already do have 2 goalies, but I feel like in this format, it could be something. I can't remember Vancouver's actual schedule. I want to say they were on the higher end of off nights, but I looking at it just like, again, with the value, he's definitely up there in this spot. And I'm coming up on my next pick. So Ryan, I'll throw it to you. What do you think about Demko there?
Yeah, I think you painted a nice picture of his upside, and that's what we've seen in the past. But it remains to be seen, if that really will happen this season. And that's why we're seeing him go so late in all these drafts, because it's totally possible that he has a re-injury to something that a lot of people were saying he's never going to play hockey again. But here he is. He's back. He signed a big contract. I think I'd be expecting more of a timeshare with him and Lankinen. I think they'll, manage him a little bit and not put him out for 60 starts. And Lankinen showed that he can be a starter last year. So, I expect a timeshare there. And I think in the 16th round, we're in the timeshare goalie category here. So Demko has so much upside where it can't hurt taking him there. And then we have Jake DeBrusque going 16-11, Logan Stankoven, 16-12, Neil Pionk 17-1, Snuggerud goes 17-2, and then Evan, you just really like guys named Ryan, eh? Ryan O'Reilly 17-3.
God, why did I do that to myself? I got to look at his name every time I look at my team. Ryan O'Reilly, again, similar to the Yossi pick, I think Nashville's due to bounce back. I think he gets close to like the 60-point range. He's going to be top line, top power play. The thing about Ryan O'Reilly to me is he is like the only center on that team, a true center. They want to play Stamkos at center, but that's not going to stick the whole season. He's not as good on the draw, and he's not as good defensively. So Ryan O'Reilly is going to be that guy. He gets faded in a lot of drafts because he's getting older. He's a bit slow, but I think 50 to 60 points as a center-only option, I could do worse in the 17th round.
Yeah, and I did take an Evan, so don't worry. I took Evan Bouchard.
God, what are we doing here?
Did anyone take a Brian? Is there any Brians in the league?
Where's Brian Rust?
Yeah.
I'll have to trade for him.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, I'll do some recap here. After Ryan O'Reilly at the 17-3, we go Jeremy Swayman at the 17-4, which I think is a really good value for him. Elias Lindholm at the 17-5. And Brian, you go with Marco Kasper. My boy, I thought about it actually between the two. He's left-wing eligible in this format as well. So really good pick by you.
Thank you. All right. I guess you're not public enemy number 1 anymore. I like Kasper. I thought he's played really well on that second line there. And I don't think he's getting power play time, but he throws the body, which really helps. He had a great year this past year, so if he can build on that, I'm very happy to take him where I did. It was between that or a goalie, and I figured I've been fading on everything. May as well fade on a goalie another round.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of have to.
And then right after you picked him, which I like Marco Kasper there too. 3 goalies went right after that. We had Kochetkov go, Stu Skinner go, and I took Joey Dacord. I didn't want to take a third goalie. I think I was set with Vasilevsky and Wolf getting over 60 starts each, or around 60 starts each. But I really like the value here of Joey Dacord. I think he's a solidified starter now in Seattle. As much as you can hope for Grubauer to emerge, he'll emerge. If he does emerge and bounce back, he'll bounce back as a backup goalie, as a fine backup goalie. And Dacord should get a lot of starts. So I think I'll run 3 goalies, and we're in the 4th last round here, where I'm looking at people where they might not be on my team in 2 weeks into the season. I'm shooting for upside, and I'll reevaluate my team 2 weeks in.
Yeah, Ryan, listen, you said you didn't want to pick a third goalie, and let me tell you, I also didn't want you to pick a third goalie. Evan, you as well, because that really threw a wrench into my plan. I'm thinking there's no way they're taking another goalie here, and I'll have more options. And then sure enough, 4 goalies go after me in that route. So you'll love to
Well,
see it.
listen, Brian. 2 weeks into the season, when you have no goalies, I have 3. So come at me for a trade.
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
we can work out a deal.
Yeah, I'm not giving you Kaprizov for decor. That much I can tell you. I don't need a goalie that bad. After Vizmelka went at the 17-11, we go Schaefer at the 17-12. About to start the 18th round. Are either of you going to take a 4th goalie?
I might.
You never know.
Yeah, my boy Jet Greaves is still around.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, that is true. And Evan, Tony DeAngelo is available, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that Joey Decord is really good value here, and I'm similar to Ryan, where it's like I just saw the value with Demko in the 16th, and you just have to take it. So that's why the fact that it completely blocked you from getting solidified in the net is just a bonus, when we do the rankings on who's got the best team here. But no, Ryan taking it, I think, was just out of spite. It wasn't a true fantasy move, smarts. It was just to block you here from getting a decent goalie. No, it's if you don't want to trade Kaprizov for Decord, maybe you'll think about trading him for Demko after Demko gets like 10 amazing starts with 3 shutouts to start the year.
And then injures himself for the next 3 months. We'll see.
There you go.
Okay.
There's no fleece and Brian.
Yeah. That's right. I send the shady trades. No one else sends them to me. Okay.
Yeah, I do want to touch on Carol Vizmelka a little bit, or Vizmelka. News came out today that Connor Ingram has been cleared from the player assistance program, which is great news for him. And so that news is great for Connor Ingram. I think it limits Vizmelka's upside a little bit. I think I was eyeing Vizmelka to get a boatload of starts and being a true starter this year. But now with Connor Ingram, maybe he's back to being himself, which is an NHL goalie. I don't think Vizmelka will be that guy, and he might only be limited to 45 starts. So now I'm a little more weary in picking my boy Carroll with news of 3 NHL goalies on Utah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, look at Ingram. Was it 2 years ago? I think he got like 50 starts. He got the majority of the starts, and Vizmelka was backing him up that year too. So I don't know. Whoever's playing better is going to get more starts, and that would be a huge risk then for Vizmelka's value.
Yeah. Blake Creamer, whoever that is, has a comment saying, I think they might move one of those Utah attendees with Vanacek in the fold. Yeah, they might. But, trade market for attendees has been real dry the last 5 years. I don't know the last significant goalie move I remember other than Spencer Knight, who at the time was a backup.
Yeah. And another comment from this random guy in the comments, Blake, I haven't projected Protas yet, but he's getting left for dead out here in these streets. I know the shooting percentage was nuts, but he should still get some good deployment. You guys interested in him at all? I was kind of looking at some of his stuff, with his 60 plus points in 70 games last year. The fact that he's not going to be on the power play potentially at all kind of scares me. Because his efficiency was really at even strength, but individually he's a really great player. And I think if he got that power play time, we would be talking about and looking at him more. I'm not really looking at drafting him. Either of you guys interested?
Me personally, no. I just look at, if you pull him up here on Fantrax, look at his value this past year, 5 fantasy points per game, 66 points in 76 games. Year before, he played 78 games. He only got 30 points. Yeah, it was a smaller role, but he's not touching power play. And to me, I don't want to rely on that with only 1 year of one season to back that up.
Yeah, I agree with you both. I'm not drafting Protas this year. I got him projected for a drop off. I think the 66 points, it was a little bit of a mirage, and we're never going to see that again for Protas. Maybe he gets put on the top power play, but I don't think that'll happen. He's a great two-way player and gets some shorthanded minutes and a lot of nice even strength minutes against tough competition. I just don't think he's that top offensive player. And Washington as a whole, they led the league in shooting percentage last season. And I don't think Carberry can get that out of his players 2 years in a row. So I got Protas significant regression under 50 points, and he doesn't do a lot in the hits or the blocks or the shots even to warrant being rostered if he doesn't get over 50 points. Protas did go at the 17-10. We did recap Karel Vizmelka 1711, Matthew Schaefer 1712. I'm just doing
That's
it
where
again.
we stopped.
Jake,
That's where we stopped.
All right, and then Jake Neighbors in the third last round 18-1, Marco Rossi 18-2, Trevor Zegras 18-3, and then I went Connor McMichael at 18-4. Josh Norris goes 18-5. Chris Hollywood takes Andrei Kuzmenko, and then Brian, you went with your second goalie Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Yep. Only for the name, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Great name. No, he's going to get the majority of the starts, and every other goalie, all the other key starters have been taken, so I'm okay with that. Who knows? Buffalo might make the playoffs this year. Fingers crossed for Buffalo.
Yeah, honestly, Brian, you're like one of the only teams running true 0G as if an Apples and Ginos player would do in a normal draft. The only reason all of us are not running 0G is because every other drafter in here goes by that strategy as well. But you're gonna find the guy off the waiver wire in week 1 who you might hold on to all season, and it might be Jack Greaves.
It just might.
And then after Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, we had Cam Fowler go, and then Sean Dursey, and then Evan takes Noah Hannafin, and then Patrick Laine goes, then Travis Sanheim, and then to start off the 19th round, we had Joseph Wall. Radko Gudas goes 19-2, and then Evan, you go Gino Malkin 19-3.
Yeah, so I go Noah Hannafin as an insurance policy for Shea Theodore in the 18th round. If that happens, like I predicted to, Shea Theodore is going to trip, stub his toe, and be out for 50 games to go on the LTIR, so that Vegas can circumvent that and add some more players for the Cup run. And Noah Hannafin is going to get top power play, and I'm going to get a top 10 D-man in the 18th round. So you guys might want to take some notes there. And then Gino Malkin, I was looking to just curious about this, left wing eligible in this format, which to me is interesting because, if, he gets back to like 60, 70 points as a left winger, he's, very much not the player that he was, 5 years ago, but could be interesting in the left wing spot for one of my bench players. Brian, talk to me about that. And then you can recap and get in on your goalie, because Freddie Anderson in the 19th round is pretty good.
Yeah, talk about value, am I right? No, Malkin, I've taken him in a couple of best balls really late in the draft, but the only thing that scares me off is I just think Pittsburgh is going to be a horrible team this year. And I hope they trade Crosby for his sake, but I think that's going to absolutely just nuke Malkin's value. So I would be weary about him, but for where you're getting him in the 19 mark, could return some great value. So that's that. After Malcolm, we go Logan Mailloux, Alex Laferriere, Freddie Anderson. I guess, you already recapped that. Ryan Leonard, Connor Garland, Tyler Seguin, Leo Carlson at the 1910 mark. Ryan picked Tyler Seguin. Do you think he's going to play a full 82?
I'm not sure, but again, at this point in the draft, not worried at all about that because you're holding on to that player on IR plus if he gets injured. And Tyler Seguin, I'm actually like a little lower on Seguin in my projections compared to Nathan Blake's and a few others I've seen. But in the 19th round, I think he has upside, and Dallas is, I've talked about Dallas's depth, but this year their depth is not what it used to be. So I think Seguin is really a second line player this year rather than a third liner that he has been. He's kind of moved up and down. And he's shown to get plenty of power play time. Who knows if Greg Gulletson splits the power plays like they've done in the past. But if they do, Tyler Seguin will have plenty of value. And if they don't, well, then I'm totally wrong about Mikko Rantanen and Jason Robertson not being 90-point guys.
Yeah, and listen, last year, just before he got injured the first time around, he was over a point per game player. So, like, who knows? If he starts the season strong, that can return you a lot of value even to get started on the season. So, yeah, you can't hate it where he is, and especially, again, you got that dual eligibility. It really helps with any calendar or the season schedule flexibility. So I like that. Evan, do you want to hate on his pick?
No, I can't actually. It's interesting because he's going back to some Dallas guys, which he should just not draft any players from their team because they listen to this podcast, and they're gonna use that as fuel to get Rantanen over his 90-point mark to completely cripple your bets, Ryan. But Tyler Seguin here was really good. It was between him and Malkin. It was just more on my roster. I had a bunch of right wings as opposed to left wings. I feel like they're in very similar spots, Malkin and Seguin, with this dual eligibility, but really good players that are a bit older and maybe not going to get as much ice time, but still really good value here in the later rounds. And then so after Seguin, we get Leo Carlson at the 1910, Mason Marchman at the 1911, Kopitar at the 1912, Voronkov at the 21, Askarov at the 22, Jet Greaves, Dream Killer Snipes Ryan, because I know he wanted to go for that fourth goalie, and the Vezina winner this year, book it, Jet Greaves, as Ryan is coming up on his pick at the 24, Tyson Forrester. Ryan, talk to us about your pick and how you were scrambling after Jet Greaves was taken.
See him take him a couple times. Talk to me about this. Why do you always take him?
Who, Jet Greaves?
No, Forrester. I've seen you take him in a couple best balls, and I'm always wondering, like, what is it you love about this guy?
Well, listen, he was, there was some concern of injury risk with him. He was maybe going to miss like the first few weeks, maybe a first month. And then there was a report that came out last week that he's expected to be ready for opening night. So that's great. I think he is young. He's got talent. And he'll move up and down the Philly lineup, and maybe he finds some chemistry up at the top. If he does, I think he has like a 60-point ceiling, 30-goal ceiling. I'm not projecting that, but I am projecting close to 27 goals, 47 points, 164 shots, and some nice hits at 90 and some blocks as well. So in the last round here, like he might be on my team if he's in the top 6 all season. So really like Tyson Forster if he's ready for opening night.
Love that. And you're getting a little bit of love here too, Ryan. If Ryan wanted him, it makes it worth it. You couldn't agree more, especially with that breakdown. So now I know. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. I wanted Jet Greaves, again, as I've said, not in a draft, but I want him as a waiver wire pickup on day 6. When Elvis Merzlikins gets pulled 2 games in a row, and then Game 3 is when Jet Greaves takes over the starting role.
I love it. All right. After you went with Forrester, went with Letang, Tolvanen. I went with Jason Zucker at the 27, Teuvo Teravainen, Barbashev, and then Evan followed with Zetterlund, Bertuzzi, and we're waiting on the last pick. Evan, why do you like Zetterlund here?
He shoots, he hits. He's going to get, 40 to 50 points. So don't hate it as a dual eligible winger. He's going to play, it looks like projected, at times to top line, with potentially Stützle and Brady. So he's along for that ride as well as the forechecker. You kind of took one that I was interested in too in Zucker. So that was a really good pick by yourself.
He had a great year with Buffalo. What first full season with Buffalo? If he can do any of that again, I'm very happy taking him there. That concludes
but don't you think Zucker's upside is meaning that Alex Tuck is limited in his upside, because that's who's stopping Alex Tuck from going on power play 1, I believe.
Which is crazy, but it's so true. But I don't have Tuck on my team, so in this case, I don't care.
The only one stopping Tuck from going to the power play is Lindy Ruff with his dementia. Not doing what's right for the team. I know Tage Thompson wants him on his line and on the top power play. I just have to believe that that's the case. But yeah, no, Zucker, he's been proven to be really good and efficient on the power play too. So I don't dislike that at all.
Yeah. So I got a question for you guys. We're done the draft here. I'm looking at some teams. I have 3 goalies. Evan has 3 goalies. We have, I think, around four or 5 teams with 2 goalies. The rest, I think, have 3. We took 3 goalies, but I don't necessarily think that's the best strategy in this league when you get not that many points for goalies relative to skaters. I think I was forced into taking Joey Daccord, and we'll see if I hold on to him. But what are you guys' thoughts on rostering 3 goalies versus 2 goalies in this format?
Yeah. Honestly, most leagues I usually draft only one goalie and I'll pick up another goalie later. In this case, I should have gone with 2 goalies, but because I went with 3, I think what my strategy would be is figure out which one I value more and then try to make a trade with the other one if there is any takers. But yeah, I don't think you need 3 goalies in this format. Evan?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Really, like it is kind of like we were talking about. It's all about value, right? So if you're getting a really good goalie like Decord or like Demko in the later rounds, and people have kind of faded them, and maybe they don't like their second goalie, maybe Freddie Anderson goes down and gets hurt, Brian, and there's not too many options on the waiver wire, and then you need to make a trade for one. So I think if the value's there, it might be worth it. But in terms of the format and the points they're going to get you, I see the argument against it. But also, like, there are some players that, or some goalies rather, that can still put up really good points with this format compared to like maybe a bench skater that might not get it. Just sitting on your bench if there's too much clogged up with your lineup.
Yeah, and I think that's where like off nights come into play too, where if you have Lucas Dostal, he might be playing on a lot of those off nights, and that's where a third goalie might be worth it. Where if you're having like UC Saros, they have limited off nights. I think like, let's say Sam Montembeau, they have limited off nights, and maybe even Joey Daccord, who I think has limited off nights. If you had all 3 of those, and they're all playing on the same night every time, probably shouldn't be rostering them.
It's a good point to bring up about Dostal. I did that in one of our best balls where I took him as the third goalie and felt so happy about it because he's going to get all those off night starts for those points. So I think he becomes that much more valuable in that scenario.
Yeah. All right.
And sorry, go for it, Brian.
I was going to say, gentlemen, why don't we end this with, I guess, calling out your favorite pick from one of these teams. We're not going to go through each team, but maybe your favorite pick that someone had, a little snipe before we kind of end it here.
Give us a minute. We need some waiting music, some Jeopardy music or something.
Or just like a picture of Darnell Nurse in his head, just kind of like slowly circling the camera. I'm sure we can work that in.
Eating an egg.
I'm kind of just, I'll talk about my team a little bit as you guys are looking. This might be, when I'm looking at front to back, my favorite draft that I have done. So I'm really happy with my team. Just gonna, it's more about feeling good about myself, Ryan. Not saying I have the best team, just feeling good about the draft. Not every time I had the best pick. So looking at my team, I like where I got Luke Hughes, Robert Thomas in the 7th felt good, Michkov in the 6th felt good, and then even my goalies, Aiden Hilling-Kemper, 10 and 11 felt good. I did get mixed up with kind of the D run that went on earlier on and missed out on some of those, but outside of that, I am happy with it. And I want the polls to go out because I need to, one of us, Brian, we need to beat Ryan one of these. And if he keeps taking the egg, man, I mean, there's no way he can win another one, right?
I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Honestly, I'll really quickly, I'm not going to go through the team, but I'm not going to gas myself up like Evan, everyone. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to point out one player that I really liked. I liked the Brian Rust pick at the 10-11. Like, I know he has some injury concerns always, but when he's on the ice, he's so valuable and he's going to return a lot of value for you. So I really do like that pick, especially when you have the option of putting someone on the IR plus, like, and picking a streamer. I love it there.
Yeah. The only thing I'm thinking about for Brian Rust and let's say Rickard Rakell as well is I think Pittsburgh is now as much as Sidney Crosby might hate it, they are a rebuilding team.
Mhm.
And if Brian Rust, let's say, gets traded, or Rickard Rakell gets traded at the deadline, where are they going and how do they slot in? And I think Brian Rust, if he goes somewhere, he might not see power play one, and he might not see top line minutes, so his value would diminish. But again, that might happen in March. So in the 10th round, yeah, that's not bad. That is a great pick there. For myself, I have 2 picks I want to highlight. First, I want to highlight Jake Wallman, because he was a little sniped by me. Sniped from me. I wanted to handcuff Evan Bouchard with Jake Wallman, because if Bouchard goes down, I do think Jake Wallman is the most likely to be on that elite power play with McDavid and Draisaitl. And if he's not on that top power play, he's still going to provide some nice value. He shoots a ton, he blocks a ton, and he showed that he could be like a 40-point defenseman without any top power play time on the Oilers. So I really like that pick. That happened in the 11th round by AKB. And I wasn't able to get that handcuff. And then I also want to point out Cole Perfetti in the 16th round. I think this is more than like an upside pick that we see a lot of upside picks here in the last 4 rounds, but Cole Perfetti I do like, has not only an upside pick, but a pick that really he is expected to be on that top power play now with Ehlers gone, and he has tons of talent. He's, I believe, 22? Yeah, he has played in 4 seasons now. He's played 222 games. And if you read any Dauber stuff, they always talk about this like 200 game threshold, which I don't know if there's this magic thing when you pass 200 games, you just turn into a better player. But he seemed to do that last year in the last quarter of last season. So we might see some good things from Cole Perfetti this season.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to be in on the Perfetti train. But I think we're going to wrap it up here. That's all we've got for this episode. Hopefully it brought you some value and helped you get just a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. Many thanks to the band here for supplying the music for the podcast. Be sure to check out their Spotify as well. We appreciate your time. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you later.